Hey gang, it's Jeff, and this week on Muscle Cars and Hot Rods, we're going to get back on our 1966 Chevy SS2 Nova project. I'm going to play around with a little bit of 70-30. See if we can get some lead happening on that new quarter panel seam, the seam to the roof. So, check it out. This right here is one of the most important seams on a show car quarter panel setup, and I have noticed that when you cut that clear coat flat, that if you were to fill this with short strand fiberglass and then filler out in the sun, the filler and short strand would expand and contract at a different rate than the metal, and you would get a slight shadow line right there. Not as noticeable on some of the more common finishes out there, but when you're trying to produce a show quality finish where you cut the clear coat totally flat, it becomes noticeable. It's like, what the hell is that? You know what I mean? So, in theory, using lead should minimize the expansion and contraction differences in the rate between the metal. The lead should expand and contract at a more similar rate, and therefore you should end up with a less noticeable seam. Now, I've debated and haven't bit the bullet yet, but I believe at some point in the future what I will do on this, because all Chevs, Mopars, all muscle cars have them, these deep seams right here were always let in from the factory, and like I said, I haven't worked up to it, but I plan on at one point either cutting out all this metal and butt welding this seam completely flush all the way around, or corrosion protection, laying a piece of metal on top, lap weld style, and welding that in. I have problems with all of the ideas, and I haven't thought through a good way to get around it yet, so we're going to stick with the old traditional, the way it came from the factory. Put a little lead in there. We started right now by cleaning it up. We took some 50 grit, some older 50 grit, you know, not as aggressive. Maybe some of the abrasion has fallen off, and we just went through and we cleaned up all the discoloring from our weld, any of the factory e-coating, and the like. Then we took our DA, our 6-inch DA, with some 3M Stick It 80 grit, which retails for like $57 for 100 sheets. Damn. And final out, a little bit of a carbide tip on a die grinder, and wire wheel. And we made sure that we got way up in and completely shined up all that metal to a nice bright white. It's the foundation. It's the most important step. Oh, I am by no means good at this. I started my first lead job probably about 4 years ago. Done it on about 4 or 5 cars since then. I, like most of you, when you get started, picked up my first kit from Eastwood Restoration, Eastwood, whatever it is, .com. And it came with the paddles and everything. I've since lost them or whatever, but came across a pretty smoking deal of a hobbyist trying to get rid of it on Craigslist not too long ago. I always used to tin with this. It's a 4060 by Acro tin. You mix this up, it's a dry paste. Let's see if I can open it here without breathing in a huge plume and or dropping it everywhere. It's a dry paste alloy, and it's a dry compound alloy that you mix into a paste with like distilled water and all that. And one of these babies right here lasts quite a long time, but when I bought that kit off Eastwood, I got this tinning butter, and if I remember correctly, when I used this before, it was like pretty easy stuff to use. It doesn't tell you the concentrate of the alloy. So that's what we're going to use on this, because like I said, if I remember right, this should work real nice and easy. I got my fans, my vents, everything going on. The garage door is wide open, and we even got a mask, so we're safety. I don't have gloves. I don't have latex or nitrile gloves. I think I'll probably just go throw on some of my other gloves here. Okay, here's the product. It's regular old baking soda. It's a base. I don't understand. I'm not even going to try to tell you. I think it might be a base and neutralize the acid. But, you know, there's some of this. Let me go get some distilled water. And this was just the clean side of that same cloth we were using. Used to use bronze wool back in the day, but when I was reading the directions, and I'm just a straight from the directions kind of guy. No fancy showboating here. If something screws up here, you know what I mean? I try not to deviate too far from the directions because I don't know enough about it to deviate. And so I don't want to screw nothing up. But yeah, I mean, there it was. We'll blow that dry now and we'll wipe it with some acetone. guys get that video like I got, I mean, it was like an old VHS with a couple of guys who've been doing it for a long time. They kind of, one of the tricks they taught was that you really want to be pushing down hard, because when you get that lead molten, it's kind of like cast or pot metal. It's molten. There's a lot of voids and pinholes in it, and so when you get it real hot, just push down on it. What I was doing right there was I got it applied and pushed out and around by turning my flame down really low, because I didn't want to burn up my tinning. And so I got it. I kind of screwed up here in the beginning. I had to go back and redo a little bit because I had my flame too high. So I got it down real low when I was doing my applying of the lead, and then I cranked it up, you know, pretty high, and I got back away from the surface quite a ways to try and heat up a larger area as I was finally trying to smooth it out. And I could see that I've got a low spot right here. Ooh, that's still a little warm. And then I want to have a little bit more up in here, and so I'm going to go back and continue to work that a little bit, and we'll see how it gets. Now, I'm not one of these guys who's going to like metal finish this in lead and it's going to be slick, throw down a coat of primer and paint it. That ain't me. All I'm looking to do is fill that deep void there and, you know, make it as good as I can get it, because it's a challenge and you want to do a good job. But do I expect this to be like General Motors back in 1966, the dude who used to lay the stuff? Hell no. I don't expect to be like that at all. I started taking these little ends, because I had like probably 20 of these things, these little ends that are left from the long rods, putting them in my needle nose vice grips, and that was kind of cool because I could lay that out. So I can't give you a real accurate number as to, you know, whether this probably took like 2 sticks, maybe a little bit more. So maybe that's like a half a pound of lead there, maybe a little bit more in that seam. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna try to put a little bit more in these 2 little areas. I'm gonna open up my flame, and I'm gonna try to smooth it out, and we can begin filing. Okay, now because I'm a cheap bastard, I only got the 1 file, so I usually flip this baby over for lead, and then on the other side, whenever I'm like metal filing on a door skin or something like that, I use the other side. And the idea there was that it would keep the one side sharper so I could cut the lead quicker, because man, doing lead bodywork takes at least twice as long, if not 3 or 4 times or whatever. It seems to take a lot longer. So I've never really known about using like tools as far as the power tools like grinders and DAs and all that stuff with it. I have before epoxy. I usually take my DA with a brand new sheet of 80 grit and nail it. But we're beginning to file over here, so let's go ahead and take a quicker look. Got it filed down pretty decent. Got a piece of 80 grit on the DA, and I'm just gonna finish it out. Got 5 more lead joints to do on this car, so I'm sure we're going to be making more videos of it, but let's get this one finished. Well, there it is. Let's take a quick closer look. Hey, check this out. Just for shits and grins, I went ahead and led the paint stick that I stirred that tinning butter up with, and nothing happened. I just burnt the wood. Kind of balled up and dripped on the floor a little bit. I had to sweep up more. Interesting. Alright. There it is, folks. Let's tighten in here. So, a little bit of 80. Could even probably finish it out with 150, but I like to have a little mechanical tooth. So, we got our new quarter panel. We got our lead seam, and we've got our original roof. With my experience with lead, every time I've used it is I'll come in the garage tomorrow, and this area right here will be just friggin' nasty with rust, as will this drip rail and all this little area. So what I've done in the past is I've just treated it with a little bit of my buddy Mr. Rust Mort, a product by SEM or SEM, and there you have it. Enlightening, huh? I mean, God. Oh yeah, so let me stop it right here and get those vice grips real quick. Oh no, wait, are they right there? Yeah, they're right there. Okay, to answer a question from Sam W454, who is currently welding or removing a quarter panel. Keyshawn, where's my beer? Go get me a beer. These are the in fact the actual vice grips from the video. He asked me a question. We all remember Cindy's 1968 Chevy Camaro. It was an awesome project. From what I hear, it's heading down to Eddie Salcedo to get some leather interior installed. Big whoop. Eddie Salcedo. Who did the paint and body work? Mr. Jeffrey did it. JamesFreddys did it right here on YouTube for all you guys. Anyway, so you're asking a question about what was I using for pliers or clamps around the wheel wells when I was doing the plug welds on Cindy's Camaro. And if you all go back and look at episode 95 or video 95, 94, 95, something like that, we did quarter panels on the 68 Camaro. Right there they are, your regular old plug weld pliers. So this guy right here, this little swivel doodad, is copper. Got the open little guy right here, nice and sweet. Get your torch in there tight with it. Crank the heat up, because this copper takes away a lot more heat. It dissipates a lot more heat than metal does. Crank your torch up. If you're using 2, that's probably decent on a Miller 240, you know. Just hotter than you normally would without. Okay, hot. And what I was doing was I was hitting one side, hitting the other side, bringing it into the middle, finishing it off. Done with that. These are kind of cool. I took the same exact little copper dude that you buy on here, and I put it on this, just a El Cheapo vice grips here. And this I use if I'm welding up a hole like I did on the Nova deck lid here. So I gotta get in there and give myself a little bit of reach. Put a little copper behind it. Wham! Alright, anyway, that's the end of the lead video. The first lead video on the 1966 Chevy Nova SS. Used to be a 3 on the tree. We're gonna move that Muncie shifter down into the tunnel. All that good stuff's gonna happen right here on YouTube for all you guys to see. So, thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.